adding some more perennials to the border behind the shepherd's hut. This is going to be predominantly a perennial area. I'm adding delphiniums, lupins, aquilegia, some poorly looking tulips, and in the process of doing that I've discovered another flagstone which will go in the back lawn path. Just the bulbs to go in now, and I'm going to get this lemon balm, and we've got a dock over there to get out. Yeah, should be pretty. What I'll do now is I'll crack on with putting those perennials in, and in the meantime I will cut to some footage of me taking you on a tour of the garden at the end of March and the beginning of spring. Look at these. Can you see them? Green fly on the tips of my beautiful rosebuds. I'm going to go and knock up a solution of washing up liquid. I use smol, SMOL, because it's not harmful to the environment or waterways, but hopefully it's enough to get rid of horrible green fly. Not so many on these shoots here, this side, but that is definitely fully infected. Just a word of caution, I am doing this before the sun is on the plant, because we wouldn't want to scorch these delicate leaves and buds that are just newly forming. But I think it's the most fun I've ever had with washing up liquid. How are these doing? That's where the main infestation is. There they are, look. Down there. Hello and welcome to the Tudor Cottage Diaries. My name is Heidi and you are very welcome here. You're joining me in the rose garden. So rather than doing a full garden tour today, I thought I'd concentrate mostly on the rose garden, and then I will cover off some bits around the back garden and then the front garden. Hopefully you can hear me okay. The wind has died down now here on the south coast, but it has been blowing a hoolie the last few days. The sun is out. It feels warmer. Let's crack on with the video. Let me take you on a tour of the rose garden. I think the first thing to say is that the rose garden is in my allotment area in this garden. So this is where we grew vegetables. There was a fence dividing this area from the main lawn. And then 2022, our wedding anniversary for 20 years, I had this plan that I wanted to do a more formal garden here at the back near the paddock, and this is it. This is the results of the 2020. We started to break earth in the October of 2020. My son got rid of all the raised beds, we dug the soil over, and then we started laying out where we wanted the paths. Then the main part of the scheme was derived from this garden arbour, which was from a company called In Excess. We purchased that. Then the obelisks are from Amazon. They're quite cheap ones. I think it's £20 for two, and I've painted them with B&Q Good Home. I think it's something Tahiti green or something, but it matches exactly with the garden arbour. Anyway, I'm going to take you through these beds a little bit more in depth than I normally do down here. With our backs to the compost heap, we can see this bed quite clearly laid out in front of us. I'll do a little bit of a shimmy around so you can see the full bed. The Victorian rhubarb faucet is from my parents, and they gave that to me a couple of years ago, and has got rhubarb under it. And on that note, we have got some rhubarb just here on this corner. I absolutely love rhubarb for breakfast with yogurt, and I normally have it with granola. Is absolutely amazing. So looking at this back border, this is westerly facing, so has quite a lot of wind coming through it, but actually the south isn't far away, so it gets a nice bit of sun. Even though this has been dug over several times, you can see that we've still got the china that comes up everywhere in this garden. So this garden has been garden for over 600 years. So we have lots of bits of treasures coming up through the soil. In this bed, we have got the start of my David Austin collection. So I will walk you through those. The first of the David Austin roses are Susan William Ellis, and this is a last year rose, and actually it's looking really good. We've got some buds forming in the top here, but it's a nice little compact plant, that one at the moment. Through this back border we have quite a few foxgloves. These are South Cedars or perennial foxgloves, and they join the forget-me-nots around the outsides and through the middle of this lovely bed. The Extraordia Bridal's Bouquet is just coming to the end, but this is a plant that just keeps giving, so this has probably been in flower for around 4 to 5 weeks, so really worth purchasing that one, and that is from B&Q. Coming through here we have got the second of the David Austin roses. This is Gentle Hermione. This is nice open a frame to this one. It's had a really good prune. Yeah, and this is a subtle beautiful colour to this one. We've got the white tulips that were planted here a couple of years ago in pots, and they've been re-established into the lawn. Some poorly looking lavenders, and then coming through we've got some agapanthus here, and most of these plants are mirrored on the other side, so the colour combinations look really quite fetching from a distance. Lots of blues and whites. In front of us we've got UK Snowflake. I've got 2 of these as well, and I'm looking forward to those flowering. Quite a few of the stems look like they're struggling a little bit. I've started planting out some delphiniums into the bare patches of earth from this border, and you can see here that the slugs have already started nibbling on the hostas, so I need to get more eggshells around these. We've also got some newly planted fritillarias, so hopefully they can marginalise in here and we can have lots more of those. The first of our bleeding hearts. I know these are doing really well in my mother's garden, not so well here. We've got some geums here, and this is a beautiful red geum, and then we've got the blue and the Nepeta behind that, which gives you that gorgeous blue flowers throughout the year. And then behind that we've got the first of the everlasting sweet peas just showing itself through here. Emily Bronte, this is my favourite. This is the one that just keeps flowering and flowering, and the colour and the scent, and it's just the most beautiful plant. So, and you can see that it's got to quite a nice height, so I think this is its 3rd year with me. Looking forward to this one flowering. We've got the alliums just coming up into this border here. So these are the big round purple globe of alliums. I've got some miniatures through this border as well. I like to have some variance in heights through here, hence why I've got a big grass and miscanthus in the middle there, because it just helps with the eye if your sort of eye is traveling up triangles. So you've got your lower levels, your medium levels, and then your high levels, and the height is brought about by the miscanthus grasses and then the obelisks, which this one is planted with a little clematis. It's from the Hagley family. I can't quite read the labels, but it's something like Hyde. Hagley, Hyde, Hyde. Probably bought that because of my name. And we've got a spirea just here. And then we've got the last few of the beautiful daffodils that remain in this border. You can see another allium here. We've got a patch of daisies here. Then these things I thought were salvias. These I grew from seeds. Very excited to see what they actually are, because my mother, who's a great plantswoman, didn't know. So I probably got weeds in the garden. Then through here we've got the miniature of the alliums, and they're looking in really good health. They've made it quite well through the winter, and they go through this border. That's another fritilia, and then that comes back into the Pyrrhus here, which has been beautiful, and it's just about to have the red shoots on it. That's rosebed number 1. Still with our backs to the compost bin, but more the washing station. We are in the front border of the rose garden, and I think there's 4 roses in here, but I am quite prepared to admit that I've got that wrong. Annoyingly, this one at the front is missing its label. I know there was one David Austin one that I forget every year what it is until it comes into flower, and that quite possibly could be it, because most of them have got their little copper tags on them. So through this border we have got some of the beautiful wallflowers in this gorgeous striped yellowy orange petals. We've got the geums coming through here, which I'll show you in a minute. Lots and lots of the honesties. So this is going to be a plethora of purple very, very soon. A beautiful hydrangea here. This is your normal mop head hydrangea. The lilies are just starting to come up there. We've got some more of the fritilias. Lots of forget-me-nots. I do love my forget-me-nots. This is a roll of dull. In the obelisk in the middle, you can see the paint hasn't lasted very well on this one, and I'll give that a second coat. We have got a pink champagne clematis, which is just starting to wind its way up the legs of that, so I really must get that painted very, very quickly. We've got a peony here. There's a further peony just coming up through here. Lots of the lilies starting to come up as you come through. David Austin rose number 6 is Desdemona. Again, this is a very fragranced and subtle rose. Absolutely love this one. At the moment, all of its growth is coming off of just 2 stems, so hopefully that one will thicken out a bit better. Then we've got through here the skimmia through the middle. This has been delightful, this skimmia. Absolutely flowered its little head off. And then we come through to Olivia Rose Austin. Which is absolutely a stunning rose, and if it wasn't for Emily Bronte, I think this one would be my favourite. Luckily no green flies on these ones down here. Under here we've got the Brunnera. This is a white Brunnera, and then we've got the Pulmonaria underneath the little bird feeder here. So that has been beautiful in the blues and the pinks. And then interplanted through here, we've got the starting of the perennial planting with the lupins, the delphiniums, and we've got some of the aqualegias coming up, and a stilby just in the middle that must have been loving the wet weather we've had all winter. At the front we have a massive cow parsley here. which will be stunning. And I quite like these because they grow to almost head height, and I love picking the frothy, they're almost like gypsophilia, aren't they? As you go through this border, again, we've got some bulbs in here. So this is crying out really for the honesty to be thinned out and some more perennials added. But I'm going to go with the honesty for the moment. And what I'll do is, as soon as it's finished flowering, before it sets seeds, I will probably remove a good 3/4 of them and just leave a couple of plants to set seeds, because I quite like the seed head. So this is David Austin Rose number 8, and this is Himalayan musk, and it's climbing up our plum tree, which, if I try and get a good view of it above my head, has started to flower. And this was heavily laden with plums last year, so much so we were selling them at the front of the house. Archie did it to get some pocket money in the school holidays. But yeah, this is growing really well. So we're going to dart back to David Austin number 7, which is Malvern Hills, which is climbing up the apple tree, and it's put on some amazing growth. And we're just going to get to the end of it. Yeah, so we'll get that back in the tree. Yeah, so the Malvern Hills and the Himalayan musk have only been planted for 1 year, so they put on some really good growth through that time. Underneath the sink, we've got the wild garlic, we've got some bluebells, and we've got another honesty plant, lots of ivy, a molehill, and this is where I keep my terracotta pots. We're going to walk towards David's shed, and then I will swing round and we will talk about this back border. So before we get to the border, we have got the shed is planted in a passion flower, which is on its 2nd year. Then we got the Nandina here, which I call the heavenly bamboo, which is in full berry at the moment, and that plant's travelled to several gardens with us. And then the trough underneath at the moment has got some narcissi in it, tete-a-tete, and some mascuri, and I'll put some seasonal planting in there. There is also a anemone just coming up underneath it. The massive cordyline in the pot we've had in about 3 gardens. And then we come to this border. So this is where the extraordia mirrors the extraordia on the first bed I showed you. And this bed a little bit more shady. This is easterly facing. So there are some poppies in here, lots and lots of alliums again. There are several roses in here that are not David Austin roses that I've put in here just to see how well they go, and they are from B&Q. Lots of ferns. I can give you the name of the B&Q ones. I think it is Rose Cream. Yeah. Lots of honesties through here. And this is where I've got my main big agapanthus plant. It seems to have survived winter, although I need to relocate this snail to the compost heap. There is a little climber that is climbing up this obelisk that was gifted to me by a now deceased best friend of my father, Dave Williscroft. So we call this the Dave Williscroft plant, and it seems to cling on to life every year, and it's very, very pretty. I must ask my mother the name of it. We have another miscanthus in here, which is again helping with the height of the obelisk. And then the roses in here that are the David Austin roses this is Elizabeth, and she's doing very well. Beautiful new growth on this one. Then we have a rose here, which is a Harkness rose, which is HRH Queen Elizabeth, that I got in remembrance of our late Queen. So that is a Harkness rose, which is beautiful. Lots of forget-me-nots again. We've got anemones in here, and again over too many honesty plants, but I quite like them when they're in flower. And like I said, I will just make sure I don't let them seed everywhere. And then we've got these gorgeous drumstick primulas, And then lots of foxgloves again, and Verbinia Valencia. So Verbinia Valencias are in all of these beds. I know it's the first time I've mentioned them, but they come up and they look just smashing as they come up, and I add height to the borders down here. Coming through to the front rose garden, we have got the scabious pink just here, nepetas. We've got beautiful heucheras here, and Desdemona rose, so can't wait to show you that one when it's in flower. There's a tree peony just here next to another honesty plant, underplanted with lots and lots of forget-me-nots and Verbinia Valencias. You can just see them breaking through. This, out of all the beds, this is the one that's probably overcrowded with forget-me-nots. This is the one that's overcrowded with forget-me-nots, the cow parsley. Yeah, so it just needs a little bit of and the honesty. So overcrowded with the forget-me-nots, cow parsley and the honesty plants, so it needs to be thinned out, and lots more perennials in here. So this is where the remaining perennials in the greenhouse are coming. So the lupins and delphiniums that are in there are coming into the middle of this once they finish flowering and I've grubbed out the honesties. This is where they come. It's also got one of the most striking hostas in here, which is this one here. Absolutely beautiful. This rose isn't a David Austin rose, this is the B&Q rose, and this is Dawn Chorus, and that seems to be doing really well. The Poundland rose is there. It's surviving. And then at the back I've got Precious Gold, which is this one here. You can just see it there. Haven't seen that one flower yet because that was planted late last summer, so I haven't seen it in flower yet. We've got the most gorgeous hellebores here. These are just going over, but they have been seeding. And another, if you look there, we've got another hosta. Beautiful purple buddleia, which I keep quite small. It fits in within this frame here, because you know what they're like, they can be a bit thuggish. There's a verbena just at the front there, that's finished flowering and it's just making the berries. And then if we come to the outskirts of this border, if we come down here, we've got a daisy patch, some more ferns and honesty. I added the forsythia last year. This is a Poundland forsythia, so if you feel brave to try one, do it, because it's been beautiful. And then underplanting in the muscuri, forget-me-not and wood anemones. So we've got the beautiful blue with the wood anemones, and they have replaced the cyclamen in this border, which were giving us lots and lots of colour. So very quickly through the borders, we've got the celandines are starting to come through now and adding that beautiful, much needed yellow that the daffodils have left behind as they've faded and died. We've still got these beautiful white hyacinths. The scent from them is amazing. So the shrubs here have had a bit of a cut down, and that's just to let more light into the star of spring, this amazing camellia, which does now need another deadhead. I just cannot believe the amount of buds that this plant has had. It has been flowering its head off probably 5 weeks now, and it's just about to be superseded by this beautiful spirea. It's just about to take over in this border. But yeah, I'm going to take some of these dead heads off. What a beautiful plant. Through this border again, forget-me-nots, lots of cyclamen, and then we've got some shrubs coming through here, but let's stick with the spring plants. Coming down is the eucalyptus tree. I don't want it there. The purple brunnera, if you can see it amongst the ground elder, the bees certainly can find it. That is looking exquisite, isn't it? So there's lots of purple tones coming through. This is the 3rd year for this wallflower, so I must remember to take some cuttings and some seeds from this one. The osmanthus at the back there, that's been flowering. That's been absolutely beautiful. This main border here has been stuffed full of daffodils, and now it's fritillars. Beautiful skimmier at the front here, that's been in flower for a while now. You've got the achilleas in here, yarrow, lots of celandines, geums, and now I can see it as I'm looking. I don't know if your eyes are picking this up, but we've got the lupins bursting out, the tulips, there's a few scabious going through there. There are roses in here, but I'm not going to reach across and give you the names of them because unfortunately I can't do that now because too much has grown up. The greenhouse is emptying very, very quickly. And lastly, for the back garden, it's been a few hours since I last sprayed the green fly. I have to say I'm not overly convinced that that's worked that well, because the ones that are down there are still dead, so maybe I just need to be more brutal with my gun action. I don't know. Aren't they horrible? Yeah, take them off for now. I'll make another solution and try that. Horrible, horrible. Right. So these have been my Tudor Cottage diaries. Like I said, my name is Heidi. Please click like and subscribe. The like really helps the algorithm, and the subscriptions really helps me grow as a channel. Here's the garden right at the very end of March. The sun is out, the sky is blue. What a view. I'm feeling much better about spring. The garden just needs a quick deadhead, and and then we can get on with sowing some more perennials to fill the gaps in these borders.